The Millionaire CEO received a private image by accident. And when he said it was perfect, she froze. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It is quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. And now, let us return to our main character. The soft hum of Friday night chatter floated through the hallway of Mira Hale's apartment building. Somewhere downstairs, someone was dragging a recycling bin. Somewhere outside, a car alarm chirped twice. But inside her tiny studio, the only sound was the low buzz of her phone vibrating on the kitchen counter. Mira did not hear it. She was fast asleep on the living room sofa, still wearing her oversized sweater, makeup smudged after her company's team-building dinner. She had promised herself she would just lie down for 5 minutes. Instead, she had collapsed sideways into the cushions, one leg thrown over the armrest, the other dangling off the edge like she had attempted a yoga pose and given up halfway. Her hair was sprawled across her face, her mouth slightly open, and one sock had somehow come off. It was the kind of position that defied logic and human anatomy. Her roommate, passing by with a glass of water, froze, stared, then burst into a quiet laugh. "Oh no, this is legendary," she whispered. She snapped a quick picture. Not to embarrass Mira, not to tease her, but because it was genuinely the most unintentionally comedic sleeping pose she had ever seen. She planned to show Mira in the morning so they could laugh about it together. Except morning arrived, and Mira was running late. The sunlight through the blinds landed right on her face. She shot up with a groan, clutching her head. What time is it? The digital clock blinked, 7:42 a.m. Her meeting with the Wellness Project team was at 8. She scrambled for her phone, charger still tangled around it. Notifications flooded her screen, including the picture her roommate sent with the caption, "You passed out like a pretzel. Save this for later." Mira snorted despite her headache. "I look ridiculous," she muttered, zooming into the picture. "Why is my foot in the air?" She opened her email draft containing the project materials she needed to send before the morning meeting. They were still missing one image, a sample pose for the relax and release section of their stress management presentation. They had been experimenting with rough sketches, but nothing looked natural. Mira sighed, panicked, then tapped her roommate's photo. "It is silly, but it is relaxed. And it is authentic," she said to herself. "Maybe it will work as a placeholder. Just for now." Her finger hovered over the screen. She selected Share, then chose the project contact labeled A. Cole, Executive Review. In her half-awake haze, she did not remember that A. Cole was not the wellness team lead. It was Adrian Cole, Chief Executive Officer, her boss's boss's boss. With one accidental tap, the image flew off. A second later, her phone buzzed. "Adrian Cole, this pose is perfect. Let us use it for the concept." Mira froze. Her breath hitched. Her stomach dropped so hard she thought the floor might open beneath her. Perfect? Perfect. He thought she meant to send that. He thought her pretzel-shaped collapse was an intentional demonstration of wellness strategy. "Oh no. No, 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 no," she whispered, pacing in circles. "What have I done? What did I just send him? Does he think I am mocking the program? Does he think I am insane?" Her palms began to sweat. Her ears rang. The room felt like it was tilting. A second buzz. Another message. "Adrian, bring the full concept to my office after the team meets. I would like to discuss it." Mira nearly dropped the phone. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. Not only did she send her CEO a picture of herself sleeping like a twisted cartoon character, now he wanted a meeting. She pressed her hands to her face, mortified. "This cannot be real," she whispered. "This has to be a nightmare. Please let it be a nightmare." But it was only the beginning. The elevator door slid open with a soft chime, and Mira stepped inside, still rattled from the morning's disaster. Her planner was clutched to her chest like a shield. She had rehearsed a dozen explanations in her head, but none of them felt convincing. How did anyone explain sending their CEO a picture of themselves twisted like a pretzel on a sofa? The elevator hummed upward. Her pulse followed. When the doors opened on the 12th floor, the usual buzz of office chatter washed over her. People hurried past with coffee, folders, and nervous energy. Mira tried to blend into the current, but she felt like she was moving underwater. Her friend from HR caught a glimpse of her. "Mira, are you all right? You look pale." "I am fine," Mira said quickly, trying to sound normal. "Just a long night." Her friend nodded sympathetically. "Everyone went a little too hard at the team-building dinner. Do not worry. Today will pass." If only she knew how badly Mira hoped that was true. Mira slipped into the meeting room where the wellness team had gathered. Posters, sticky notes, and color-coded charts covered the whiteboard. Her manager greeted her with a relieved smile. "There you are. We need your input on the relax and release section." Mira sat down, tucking her hair behind her ears. Her manager clicked to the next slide on the screen, revealing the empty placeholder where the relaxation pose image should be. "We were hoping you had something ready." Her throat tightened. She forced a smile she did not feel. "I sent something this morning," she said softly. Her teammates exchanged impressed glances. "Oh, great," one of them said. "We did not expect you to deliver that early." Another added, "Especially after last night. You are a machine." Mira stiffened. Machine? If only they knew. Then came the final blow. "We heard that Mr. Cole wants to review your concept personally." The room stilled. Eyes widened. Someone whispered, "Our CO? Really?" Mira's stomach twisted. Her manager brightened. "This is huge. If he likes it, the entire company wellness program might adopt your section." "Congratulations, Mira." She nodded weakly, unable to form a response. She felt like she was floating outside her own body. Nothing about this felt like a victory. At the end of the meeting, her manager placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "He asked for you at 10:30. His office. 18th floor. Her heart thudded against her ribs. The 18th floor. The executive level. The place employees entered only for promotions or disasters. As the others filed out, Mira stayed behind a moment, gripping the edge of the table until her fingers turned white. The air in the room felt heavy, pressing against her lungs. Her planner slipped from her grasp and fell open on the floor. She crouched down to pick it up, but a shadow fell across the doorway. "Mira." She looked up. Adrian Cole stood there, dressed in charcoal gray, his expression calm but curious. He held a tablet in one hand, her message thread open on the screen. His voice was steady, but something about his eyes made her chest seize. "I wanted to stop by before our meeting," he said. "Your idea this morning caught my attention. It was unexpected." Mira swallowed hard. Her palms dampened. Her throat felt too tight for words. Adrian stepped into the room, his tone gentle. "Do not worry. I am not here to criticize. In fact, I think the authenticity of your concept is exactly what our employees need." Authenticity. If only he knew. Mira forced herself to her feet, hugging her planner close. Her voice came out thin. "I appreciate that, Mr. Cole." His gaze softened. "I know you may feel nervous, but do not be. I am simply interested in understanding the mind behind that image. There is sincerity in it. That is rare." Her breath hitched. The room tilted slightly. She stared at him, wondering how long she had before the truth came crashing down. Adrian gave her a small, reassuring nod. "I will see you at 10:30. When he left, the air felt lighter, but Mira did not. Her knees wobbled as she collapsed into the nearest chair. She covered her face with trembling hands. "How am I supposed to survive a meeting with him?" she whispered. "When the only thing he sees is perfect. Is me asleep, like a broken marionette?" She wanted to disappear, but the clock on the wall kept ticking. 10:30 was coming, and there was no way out. Mira spent the next 20 minutes in a state that did not feel entirely human. Her feet carried her down the hallway, but her mind was stuck replaying the same horrifying loop. The picture, the message, the meeting. By the time she reached the elevator to the 18th floor, her pulse was a steady drum against her ribs. The doors slid shut, and the elevator began its climb. With every passing level, she felt as if the air grew thinner. When the elevator opened, she stepped into silence. The executive floor was nothing like the rest of the building. The carpet was thicker, the lighting softer, the glass walls spotless and reflective. The entire space felt like another world, one she did not belong in. She walked past framed artwork, past the receptionist who gave her a polite nod, and stopped outside the frosted glass door labeled Adrian Cole, Chief Executive Officer. She swallowed hard. Her hand trembled as she raised it to knock. Before she could, the door opened from the inside. Adrian stood there, his expression warm and composed, as if he had been expecting her not just professionally, but personally. "Mira," he said gently. Come in. She stepped inside, trying to breathe normally. The office was bright, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a sweeping view of the city skyline. A long wooden desk sat near the window, but otherwise the room was stark, minimalist. Clean lines, dark colors, no clutter. It was the kind of space that made a person feel small. Adrian motioned to the chair across from him. Please sit. She obeyed, smoothing the fabric of her skirt with shaking hands. He took the seat opposite her, his posture relaxed, but his eyes watchful in a way that made her feel seen, not judged. I reviewed your early concept this morning, he began. The relax and release module is promising. It is refreshing to see an idea that is not polished to the point of losing its humanity. Her cheeks grew warm. Humanity. That was a very polite way of describing someone collapsed like a limp puppet. She forced a nod. Thank you, Mr. Cole. I tried to show something natural. That is exactly why I liked it, he replied. People do not always need perfection. They need permission to rest, to breathe, to be imperfect. She blinked at him, startled by how deeply the words landed. She had not expected a CEO to speak about vulnerability with such ease. Adrian leaned forward, folding his hands. I want to understand your perspective, Mira. What inspired that pose specifically? Her heart stopped. This was it. The moment of truth. She could lie. She could tell him it was a deliberate demonstration of stress relief. She could pretend it was part of her artistic approach. But she had never been good at lying. Her voice came out thin, but honest. It was not intentional, she said. I was exhausted. I fell asleep after the team dinner. I looked ridiculous. I should not have sent it. Silence settled between them. Not heavy, just still. Adrian tilted his head slightly, as if considering her words with sincere thought rather than frustration. Thank you for telling me, he said softly. She blinked. You are not upset? Not at all. He offered a small smile. Sometimes accidents reveal more truth than planned presentations. And you are right. It is an unpolished moment. But that is why it works. It speaks to the reality employees face every day. Her breath loosened, but only a little. She still felt the heat of embarrassment on her skin. He continued. This company works hard. Too hard, sometimes. People break under the pressure without realizing it. A moment like yours, unfiltered and honest, can start a meaningful conversation. Mira felt her throat tighten, not from fear this time, but something unfamiliar. Something like relief. I did not expect you to see it that way, she said quietly. Most people underestimate the value of authenticity, Adrian said. I used to be one of them, but I have been trying to change that. He studied her for a second, then added, your insight can help us improve that culture. Me? Mira pointed to herself as if she could not believe it. I am just an administrative assistant. You are someone who understands how stress actually feels, he said. That is more important than job titles. Her chest tightened again, but in a different way. This time it was not panic. It was recognition. Someone finally saw her. Adrian shifted in his chair and tapped his tablet. I want you to collaborate directly with the wellness team. You will develop the relaxation concept, and I will review the final version personally. Mira almost choked on air. Personally? Yes, if you are comfortable with that. Her voice refused to rise above a whisper. I am honored. He smiled gently. I look forward to seeing what you create. You have a unique perspective. Use it. A soft knock interrupted them. The receptionist opened the door halfway. Mr. Cole, your board call begins in 5 minutes. Adrian nodded. Thank you. I will be right there. He rose, then extended a hand to Mira. Thank you for your honesty today. She stood, hesitating before shaking his hand. His grip was firm but warm. When she left the office, her legs felt wobbly, as if she had run a marathon. She exhaled the breath she had been holding for an hour. But as she walked toward the elevator, a new fear crept in. He still believed the picture worked. He still wanted to use it. And she had no idea how to stop the most embarrassing moment of her life from becoming the centerpiece of the entire company's wellness program. Mira spent the rest of the morning in a daze, drifting through tasks without fully processing anything. The meeting with Adrian replayed in her mind over and over again. His calm voice, his steady gaze, the way he spoke about authenticity as if it mattered just as much as expertise. No one had ever talked to her like that in a professional setting. No one had ever looked at her like that either, with a mixture of curiosity and respect that felt almost foreign. But none of that erased the underlying terror. If the wellness team decided to move forward with the concept exactly as it was, her absurd sleeping pose could end up in front of hundreds of employees. It was one thing for Adrian to interpret it as authentic. It was another thing entirely to have the entire company wondering why she slept like a tangled marionette. By lunchtime, her pulse had not slowed. She avoided the crowded cafeteria and instead took the back stairwell to the 14th floor, the quiet room with the windows where she often sketched before work. The place was empty, just as she hoped. She sank into her usual chair, exhaling shakily. Her planner sat on the table in front of her, open to a blank page. She picked up her pencil and let her hand hover for a moment before sketching the outline of a simple figure doing a deep breathing pose. She added softer lines, calmer gestures, intentional curves. Nothing about the drawing was meant to be funny or chaotic. It was controlled, peaceful, everything her morning image had not been. Her pencil moved quickly, as if trying to outrun her own panic. She created 3 new sketches and arranged them side by side. This was what she wanted to present. This was what she hoped Adrian would choose instead. The door opened. She looked up sharply. Adrian stepped inside. Her heartbeat stumbled. She stood too quickly, nearly knocking her planner off the table. "Mr. Cole," she said, startled. "I thought this room was empty." "I like to walk during lunch," he replied. "I did not expect to find anyone here either." He took in the scene, his eyes drifting to her sketches on the table. Mira felt a wave of heat rush to her cheeks as he approached. "These are yours?" he asked. "Yes," she said, her voice barely steady. "I was trying to refine the idea." He studied the sketches, his gaze thoughtful. "They are good," he said at last. "Very good. They communicate calm, intention, rest." Relief fluttered in her chest, but not for long. His next words made her knees weaken. "But they do not replace what made the original image compelling." She inhaled sharply. "Sir, that picture was an accident," she said. "I did not mean for it to be used." "I understand," he replied gently, "and I will never force you to use it. But I think the reason it resonated with me is because it was honest. It was not a demonstration or a performance. It was someone overwhelmed, taking an unplanned moment to stop. There is truth in that." She gripped the back of her chair, trying to find her voice. "It is embarrassing," she whispered. Adrian looked at her for a long moment, his expression softening. "Everyone has moments like that," he said. "Most people are simply not caught on camera." She exhaled a shaky breath. He placed one of her new sketches gently back on the table. "I would like you to lead the relax and release module," he said. "Not because of the image, but because of the way you understand exhaustion. The way you understand humanity." Her eyes widened. "Me? Let it." "Yes," he said simply. "The wellness team will support you. But the perspective needs to come from someone who lives this experience, not just someone who manages it." Her mind spun. She was not a manager. She was not a wellness expert. She was an administrative assistant who drew on the side to cope with stress. She could not imagine herself leading anything. "Mr. Cole," she said hesitantly, "I think you may be overestimating me." Adrian shook his head. "I do not think so. Sometimes the people closest to the struggle provide the clearest solutions." Her throat tightened, caught between disbelief and something warm she did not dare define. No one had ever entrusted her with something meaningful. No one had ever looked at her potential instead of her limitations. Adrian glanced out the window for a moment before turning back to her. "I have been trying to change the culture here," he said quietly. "But I cannot do that from the top alone. I need voices that have been unheard. Yours is one of them." Mira swallowed hard. Her hands trembled as she traced the edge of her planner. "What if I fail?" she asked. "Then you will adjust and try again," he said. "Failure is not an ending. It is data." She almost smiled at the unexpected phrasing. Adrian stepped back toward the door. "I will give you some time," he said. "Think about it. Come to my office this afternoon and tell me your decision." As he left the room, the door closing gently behind him, Mira stared at her sketches, at her trembling hands, at the sunlight warming the edges of the table. Somehow, in the span of a single morning, the CEO she had feared had become the one person who believed she had more to offer than she ever imagined. But belief was one thing. Accepting it was something else entirely. Mira stayed in the quiet room long after Adrian left. The sunlight shifted slowly across the floor, warming her shoes while her thoughts tangled themselves into tighter knots. Leading a wellness module sounded like an opportunity she was not qualified for. She had no training, no leadership experience, no confidence that her voice carried the weight Adrian seemed to hear in it. But she also remembered the way he had spoken to her. Calm, certain, as if he had already seen something in her that she had not dared to look for herself. By mid-afternoon, she forced herself to return to her desk. Her inbox was full, but she barely read the subject lines. Her fingers hovered above her keyboard without moving. She kept seeing two images in her mind: her twisted sleeping pose that started this entire mess, and Adrian's steady gaze in the quiet room when he told her her perspective mattered. The contrast felt impossible. Her coworker passed by and tapped her desk lightly. "Are you joining us for a coffee break later? You look like you could use one." Mira offered a thin smile. "Maybe. I am still catching up." Her coworker walked away, unaware of the storm brewing inside her. At 3:27, her calendar reminder chimed. Meeting, Adrian Cole, follow-up discussion location, executive office. Mira's stomach tightened. She stood slowly, smoothed her blouse, and tried to steady her breathing. The walk to the elevator felt longer than usual. When the doors opened on the 18th floor again, she wiped her palms on her skirt and approached the office door. This time the receptionist gave her a small smile. "He is expecting you." Mira nodded, though she felt anything but ready. She knocked once, then stepped inside. Adrian looked up from his desk. The afternoon light cast a warm glow across the office, softening the sharp angles of the room. He set his tablet down and gestured to the chair across from him. "Please sit, Mira. I am glad you came." She lowered herself into the chair, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "I thought a great deal about what you said earlier," she began, her voice careful. "I appreciate the trust you have in me. Truly. But I am not certain I am the right person to lead anything." Adrian listened without interrupting, his expression patient. "I am scared I will make mistakes," she continued. "I am scared I will let people down. And I am scared the only reason I am being noticed is because of that picture, not because of any real skill." Adrian leaned back slightly, his gaze warm and steady. "I understand why you would feel that way," he said. "But what drew my attention was not the picture itself. It was your honesty about it. Your humility. Your instinct to fix the situation with substance instead of excuses." He paused before adding, "Leadership is not about having the perfect background. It is about having the courage to stand where your voice is needed." Mira's eyes dropped to her hands. "I have never seen myself as a leader." "Maybe not yet," Adrian said. "But sometimes the first step is simply accepting that someone else sees potential in you." She inhaled slowly, letting his words settle. They felt solid, grounding, like stepping stones across a river she had always been afraid to cross. "I do want to help," she admitted softly. "I want to make things better. For the people who feel overwhelmed. Because I have been there. I am still there most days. And that," Adrian said gently, "is exactly why you should lead this." She looked up, meeting his eyes. For the first time, she did not look away. A quiet moment stretched between them. Finally, Mira exhaled. "All right," she said. "I will do it. I will take the lead." Adrian's smile was subtle but unmistakably genuine. "I am glad," he said. "I believe this will be meaningful. And I will support you throughout the process." Support. The word echoed in her chest like a small anchor dropping into place. He handed her a folder. "These are the materials for the next phase. Take your time reviewing them. When you are ready, we will meet with the wellness team to begin planning." She accepted the folder carefully. "Thank you, Mr. Cole. You can call me Adrian," he replied with a quiet warmth. Her heart skipped, surprised by the softness in his voice. "Thank you, Adrian." As she left his office, the weight in her chest felt different. Not gone, but transformed. It was no longer fear alone. It was possibility. Mira spent the next 2 days working harder than she had in months. She arrived early, stayed late, and filled every spare moment with sketches, notes, and quiet reflection. The folder Adrian had given her remained open on her desk like a constant reminder that she had stepped into something bigger than herself. For the first time, she felt both terrified and motivated in equal measure. During lunch breaks, she returned to the quiet room on the 14th floor. It had become her small sanctuary, a place where her thoughts could settle and where she could hear her own voice clearly. She practiced explaining her ideas out loud, rehearsing the tone she wanted to use in meetings, the words she hoped would sound confident when she spoke them. But confidence did not come easily. Not yet. On Wednesday morning, the wellness team gathered in the conference room. Mira sat at the table with her planner open, her sketches neatly arranged in a folder. Her fingers tapped lightly against the cover as she waited for the meeting to begin. People she barely knew took seats around her. A manager adjusted the projector. Someone set a tray of coffees on the table. For a moment, Mira felt the familiar urge to shrink back, to disappear into the background the way she always had. But then she remembered Adrian's words. Your perspective is needed. She straightened her posture. When the meeting began, her manager cleared his throat and gestured toward her. Mira will be taking the lead on the relax and release module. She has some early drafts to share. A ripple of surprise passed around the table. Some faces lit with curiosity. Others raised their eyebrows slightly, not negative but clearly intrigued. Mira inhaled, steadying herself. Thank you, she began. I have been thinking a great deal about what employees actually experience. Not the curated parts, but the real parts. The exhaustion we do not talk about. The moments when we shut down without meaning to. The room grew quiet. Mira laid out her sketches. Calm breathing poses. Gentle shoulder stretches. Resting positions that were approachable and human. These are the revised concepts, she said. They are grounded in simplicity. Small moments of relief that anyone can practice. They are not perfect forms. They are meant to feel natural. The feedback began slowly at first, then gathered momentum. Team members asked questions. They nodded. They took notes. Some even smiled. For the first time, Mira felt the room shifting around her. Instead of being invisible, she was being heard. Near the end of the discussion, the door opened quietly. Adrian stepped inside. The team straightened slightly, but Mira caught something different in his expression. Not formality. Not authority. Pride. A quiet, steady pride. Please continue, he said, taking a seat at the back of the room. Mira swallowed and pressed forward. Her voice trembled once, but she caught herself and kept going. She explained the logic, the emotional goals, and the practical impact. She ended with a simple line. People need permission to rest in a world that does not slow down. This is a way to give them that permission. When she finished, the room fell silent. Then the manager spoke. This is strong work, Mira. Better than anything we have had so far. Several others agreed. Adrian finally stood. I would like this direction to move forward, he said, with Mira as the lead designer. Her breath caught. Lead designer. Designer. Her. She nodded, unable to find words. After the meeting ended, people approached to congratulate her. Some shook her hand. Some thanked her for her ideas. Each comment blurred into the next, warm but overwhelming. When the room finally cleared, Mira gathered her papers with trembling hands. She looked up and found Adrian standing beside her. You did well, he said quietly. Very well. Her voice came out softer than she intended. I was nervous. I know, he replied. But you did not let the fear stop you. Mira closed her planner slowly. I guess I did not. Adrian held her gaze for a moment, his expression warm in a way that made her chest tighten. This is only the beginning, he said. You are capable of much more than you think. And for the first time in a long time, Mira nearly believed him. The rest of that week moved quickly, but something inside Mira slowed. For the first time, she began noticing small details around her that she had always rushed past. The way the late afternoon light warmed the office walls. The way her coworkers' voices softened when they thanked her for including their feedback. The way she felt when she walked through the building and did not immediately want to shrink into herself. Confidence did not arrive all at once. It came in small sparks, almost shy, almost fragile. But it was there. On Friday morning, she arrived early to refine the wellness materials before the final review. The floor was quiet, and she worked alone for nearly an hour, lost in concentration. She barely noticed how relaxed her posture had become, how naturally she took the lead in arranging the slides, adjusting the color palette, and adding captions that spoke gently to the viewer. When the elevator chimed behind her, she turned and saw Adrian step in. He carried 2 coffees. For you, he said with a small smile. Mira blinked. You did not have to do that. I know, he replied. But I wanted to. She accepted the cup carefully. Her fingers brushed his for a fraction of a second. The contact was brief, but it sent a soft, unfamiliar warmth through her chest. She looked away quickly, hoping he could not read her expression. Adrian leaned against the table, watching her slides load on the screen. I reviewed some of the feedback from the team, he said. They are very impressed. Mira tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I am glad the direction is working. I still worry it may not be enough. That is normal, Adrian said. Growth feels uncomfortable. It always has. For a moment, they stood in quiet. The sunrise reflected off the windows, painting the room in pale gold. Mira could hear her own heartbeat, steady but strong. Adrian broke the silence gently. I want to ask you something, he said. And you do not have to answer right away. Mira turned to face him fully, unsure where this was going. He continued, would you be interested in joining the Wellness Committee as a long-term member? Not just for this module, but for future initiatives. Her breath caught. A long-term position? Yes, he said. Your ideas have depth. You speak from experience. That is rare. Mira felt the world shift slightly beneath her feet. A long-term role meant recognition, opportunity, stability, something she had never imagined for herself when this week began. But before she could answer, the conference room door swung open and two co-workers entered, mid-conversation, barely noticing them. Mira stepped back instinctively, breaking the quiet moment. Adrian gave her a reassuring nod. Think about it. We can discuss later. As the wellness team settled in for the final review, Mira took her seat and opened her planner. Her hands were steady. Her voice, when she presented, was clear. The room listened to her not as someone filling a space, but as someone leading it. Near the end of the meeting, she glanced toward Adrian. He was watching her with an expression she had not seen before. Something warm, something careful, something she could not name yet. When the meeting ended and everyone began packing up, Mira realized something important. She was no longer hiding from her own potential. She was stepping into it. Mira spent the weekend at home, her planner open on her coffee table, filled with notes, sketches, and small reminders she had written to herself. She kept replaying the moment Adrian asked her about joining the Wellness Committee long-term. Every time she heard his voice in her memory, calm and sincere, her heart gave the same startled flutter. Sunday evening, as the sun set through her apartment window, Mira looked at the progression of her work. Not just the drawings, but the choices she had made. The meetings she had led. The way she had begun to speak without shrinking. She did not fully recognize the woman she was becoming, but she liked her more than she expected. On Monday morning, the building felt different. Or maybe she felt different walking through it. People greeted her by name. A coworker waved from across the hallway. Someone from accounting stopped her just to say that her early wellness drafts actually felt human. Those small comments lifted her confidence like stepping stones across a long river. By the time she reached her desk, an email from Adrian was waiting. Please stop by my office when you have a moment. I want your thoughts on something new. Her pulse quickened, not from fear this time, but anticipation. She walked to the 18th floor, calm but alert. The receptionist smiled warmly and gestured her through. When Mira entered the office, Adrian stood near the window, reviewing a printed report. He looked up immediately. Mira, thank you for coming. She stepped closer, holding her planner. You mentioned you wanted my thoughts. Yes, he said. I received the quarterly employee wellness data. There has been a steady increase in stress-related absenteeism. I think your perspective could help us understand the emotional side of the issue. Mira blinked. You want my input on company-wide data? I trust your insight, he said simply. Her breath caught, but she moved beside him to review the report. The numbers were stark. Lines that curved upward when they should have leveled. Red markers circling the most concerning areas. She spoke slowly, thinking aloud. People are burning out quietly. They do not express it until it is too late. They do not want to appear weak. Adrian nodded. Exactly, Mira continued. If the company encourages visible rest instead of silent endurance, the culture will shift. He looked at her with something like awe. You articulate these things with clarity many consultants struggle to reach. She felt heat rise to her cheeks, but pushed through it. I just speak from what I know. And that, Adrian said, is why you are valuable here. A quiet filled the office, not tense but thoughtful. Mira set the report down and faced him fully. I have thought about your offer, she said. About joining the committee long-term. And, he asked gently, I would like to accept it. A warm smile spread across his face. Not triumphant, not surprised, simply relieved. I am glad, he said. You will make a meaningful difference. Before she could respond, the intercom buzzed briefly. His assistant announced his next meeting was starting soon. Adrian glanced toward the door, then back at her. Thank you for stepping into this. he said. You make this work feel grounded. Real. Mira gathered her planner, her voice soft but steady. Thank you for trusting me. As she exited the office, she felt something shift in her chest. A quiet strength. A sense of belonging she had never known before. And beneath that, a growing warmth she did not dare name yet. She did not know where this path would lead. But for the first time in her career, she walked back to her desk with purpose instead of fear. The days that followed unfolded with a quiet certainty, the kind that did not draw attention to itself, but grew steadily, layer by layer, like a foundation Mira never realized she had been building all along. Her role on the wellness committee became official by the end of the week. Her name appeared on the internal announcement, listed as Program Development Lead, and the sight of it made her pause at her desk, breath catching somewhere between disbelief and pride. Coworkers congratulated her throughout the day. Some offered high fives, others warm smiles, and a few told her they were genuinely excited to see someone real take on the position. Mira continued to carry her planner everywhere, though now it felt less like a shield and more like a compass guiding her forward. One afternoon, she returned to the quiet room on the 14th floor. She stood by the window, taking in the soft glow of the city below. The room looked exactly as it always had, but she no longer did. She was no longer the woman who hid behind her sketches. She was no longer the woman who apologized for taking up space. The door opened behind her. She turned and saw Adrian standing there, holding a small printed booklet. It is the final wellness prototype, he said. I wanted you to see it first. She accepted the booklet with both hands, flipping through the pages. Her sketches were there. Her captions. Her concepts. But most surprising of all was the introduction page, signed by the executive office. It read, inspired by the honest perspective of Mira Hale. Her breath trembled. You did not have to include my name. She whispered. I wanted to, Adrian replied. Because your voice changed this. And it deserves to be recognized. She looked up at him, the weight of the moment settling gently over her shoulders. Thank you, she said softly, for believing in me before I believed in myself. Adrian took a step closer, not imposing, just present. You did the hard part. You showed up. You stayed honest. That is leadership. Silence rested between them, warm and steady. Mira closed the booklet and held it against her heart. It is strange, she said. All of this started because of a messy picture. A mistake. Adrian gave a quiet laugh, not mocking, just sincere. Some mistakes reveal the parts of us we have been hiding. And sometimes they open a door. She smiled, feeling something tender unfold inside her. I guess this door was meant to open. I think so too, Adrian said. They stood together, facing the city through the tall windows. The world outside moved at its usual pace, but inside that room, everything felt still and clear. After a long moment, Adrian turned toward her. Whatever direction you choose next, he said, know that you earned every step. And the company is better because you are here. Mira felt the truth of those words settle deeply. She had spent so long trying not to be noticed. Now she finally understood what it meant to be seen. She tucked the booklet into her planner, her voice gentle but certain. This is only the beginning. Adrian nodded, his expression warm. Yes, he said. It is. As Mira walked out of the room, sunlight followed her steps. She did not feel small anymore. She did not feel accidental. She felt ready. And that was the greatest transformation of all.